What a gripping session we had there. Much of the day was washed out, but we had a real bonus session in which England have taken a measure of control of this game. We know what they have to do. They've got to score 224 more runs tomorrow, and they've got all 10 wickets in hand. Australia bowled out for 224 in the end, so they added 108 runs for the loss of the 6 wickets in 20 overs that they faced, with Travis Head making an excellent 77 as the last 2 wickets added 54. So Duckett 18 and Crawley 9 will resume. So I've got Michael Vaughan and Glenn McGrath alongside me. Glenn, is that a fair resume, do you think? England do have this game to take now.
Well, they do, and the thing is they score so quickly, so Australia really need to be on their game first thing tomorrow. See what the overhead conditions are going to be like. I think that'll play a big part in what happens, but there's still enough in this pitch for the Australians to think if we get enough balls in the right area, we can create 10 chances. The fact that they put on 54 for the last 2, I think, was a bit of a bonus. So, yeah, it's 250. It's there for Australia, but the way England bat, they love chasing. You know, it's theirs for the taking.
They confidently, didn't they, those 2 openers there at the end?
Yeah, I think that was a crucial little partnership, just to damp down the kind of threat of a wicket or two that I honestly thought that was going to happen, because the conditions were pretty good. England are very clever with these clouds. They seem to be like that throughout the whole series. Every time Australia bat, the clouds are around. Every time England bat, they disappear. It's remarkable, the kind of trends of what's been happening. England have had a perfect day. I mean, we didn't think there was going to be any play, and then suddenly the rain stopped, but the clouds stayed around. England got the ball in hand, and it started to wobble around. Woke's brilliant. Got a couple to bounce. Travis Head played great. But that partnership at the end there from Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett is really crucial, because, you generally always lose one.
Yes.
It's always the case, but they played with great confidence. They played 2 or 3 really lovely strokes. England should have enough. I mean, in the last year, they've chased a total like this and more 4 times, so they're a good chasing side. They know how to do it. Australia will be hoping that the clouds are around. I don't think the forecast is too many clouds. I think there'll be a bit of blue sky.
In the morning looks good. Yeah.
So unless England make a lot of mistakes, and they have it in them to do that, I think they're going to have enough to chase down this target.
And I do think it's fair, Glenn Signal, to talk about the conditions, because actually England have had the best, and there's no doubt. I mean, there we are, 7:30, the sun's still shining on a day in which it's been shrouded with cloud all the way through. So I think we do have to make that point, to be fair, to be fair, Glenn. But anyway, but they play busily, but sensibly, and not reckless crashing the ball about.
No.
Duckett still won't leave a ball, and there were a couple of opportunities there almost by pushing out, but they seem to have survival fairly high in their minds, which isn't always the case, as we know, with this England side.
Yeah, and I think a couple of those balls, particularly from Mitchell Starc, that bounced, he looked a threat. He's going to bowl good balls. Australia will bowl good. I thought Pat Cummins is couple of overs, so actually probably the worst 2 overs I've seen Pat Cummins ever bowl. I've never seen him offer too many gifts. Australia will challenge England, because they will bowl some good spells and they'll make it difficult, but this England side, they have to win. They have to come tomorrow with the mentality that they don't have any other option. Yeah. Australia do have another option, because the 2 are up in the series, they lose here. They've still got Old Trafford and the Oval, so I think that counts for a lot. England have to just go out there and get the runs tomorrow. Australia will hope for a bit of cloud, and they'll hope this pitch just starts to crack up a little bit. But we're only into day 4, and I think it's showing signs that it's just going to play okay.
Yeah. Inexperienced spinner as well, Glenn. I mean, if the sun is shining and the conditions are good, again, that's going to test Cummins perhaps a little.
Yeah, I thought he sort of bowled pretty well, considering, with the way Stokes was playing him. He's started well. He's got a bit good brain on his shoulders. So I think he'll be okay. It'll be a great learning experience for him. He bowled in India against the likes of Virat Kohli and did well. But it's a true test out here. There's not a lot of spin, so he's going to have to go for drift and lines and lengths and what have you. But it's going to be a riveting day again tomorrow. Hopefully there's no rain. Hopefully a few clouds around. But the thing I like about this England team is that, there's a lot of talk about Bazball, but they play without fear. So the scoreboard's not going to put that extra pressure on them. They'll just go out and play. So that's one thing in their favour. Australia just have to get enough balls in the right area rather than go chasing wickets. If they go chasing wickets, this team will get away very quickly. So just have to remain patient. There's enough variation in this pitch. It's a little bit up and down. From Mitchell Stark's end, from the opposite end here, the Howard Stand end, there is variable bounce. We saw Mitchell Marsh and Alex Carey get out from 1-2 that bounced more than expected. So, yeah, I reckon there's a few more twists and turns left yet.
Of course there are. And I mean, intriguingly, Cummins, it doesn't strike me as being necessarily an aggressive attacking captain with field placings and so on, but he's got to bowl England out. So that'll be very interesting to see how he goes tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we saw it straight away with Zach Crawley. Throughout the whole series, Zach Crawley's first ball, a couple of points beyond the boundary tonight. He had him up on the one, and yeah, he'll have to be a little bit smarter and probably offer England some more boundary options, which might entice the big shots, which might create opportunities. England's bowling's been excellent. If you look at the last 3 innings where they bowled Australia out for under 300, the second innings at Lords, real clever tactics, and twice here on a pitch that's had a little bit in it. But to think that Australia aren't getting beyond 300 for 3 consecutive innings, if England can win here, and they get that victory, I think they'll arrive at Old Trafford full of confidence of potentially winning another and taking it right down to the wire.
Yeah. Word about Travis Head. I mean, that's an excellent 77, isn't it? 112 balls, played lots of shots. He had every fielder on the boundary at one stage. But it was surprising at the start, though, under those clouds, I thought anyway, that England didn't just try and bowl him out normally. They went straight for the short stuff, 3 men out on the catching and the leg side. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a couple of things that happened. I mean, the conditions were absolutely perfect for pitch up swing ball. And there was a ball, I think, second ball of the day, which went past the batter, and it swung a mile to Johnny Bairstow. He took it brilliantly. I went, oh, here we go. The ball's going to start moving around. But England opted for that short ball theory. I thought Stuart Broad actually should have bowled a couple more overs. They went to Mark Wood straight away as soon as Mitchell Stark went out there. But there was so much movement for Stuart Broad. He was swinging it. He was getting a little bit of nip. But England, the reason why they went to Travis Head in the short ball is at that stage he wasn't scoring. So they felt he might just kind of play the pull shot and go to one of those 6 or 7 fielders, and he wasn't hitting the boundary. It was only really that he started to bat with Todd Murphy that he started to really exploit the boundaries, hit some big sixes. He's a tremendous T20 player, so he's kind of in his element when he's starting to strike. A very similar, I saw one actually went over the square leg boundary off Mark Wood, and Ben Stokes was a deep mid wicket. And he looked at the screen and he kind of gave it the nod. He kind of gave him the nod of approval. That's one of mine, Travis.
Yeah, it was like that. I want to mention Brooks' catch too, actually, at short leg. And this was the dismissal of Stark off Wood, an ugly short ball he fended away. But actually, when you look at it, that should have been Johnny Bairstow's catch. And that's a little insight again, I think, to a confidence situation. Brooke at short leg had no business having to run back and catch that. And he looked twice to see where Bairstow was, and I say he was nowhere near it. Actually, he was near it, but he left it for the fellow running back with the helmet on the short leg. What did you think when you saw?
Oh, yeah, I'm absolutely in that school of thought that Johnny. Generally, if you're really confident, you just shout for that catch.
Yes,
you shout, get out of the way. I'm taking it. I've got the gloves in my hand. To see Harry Brook look twice, and it was a good catch in the end because he kind of delayed it, and then he delayed it, and he had to dive full stretch. England, if they can win here, they've got to be honest with themselves. They've made a lot of mistakes. So if you can actually win a test match against the number 1 team in the world making so many mistakes, I think that's a massive positive because they'll know that the mistakes have not cost them a game. We'll have to wait and see if they can get the runs. But I fancy them to get the runs, and then they've got to go to Old Trafford, and then they've got decisions to make. Who do they kind of bring in? They won't change it. But they certainly can't offer so many more mistakes again next week because this Australian side, I think they had an opportunity yesterday, particularly Labuschagne and Smith, to really drive this England side out of this test match and go and get 350, 400. And those 2 players made crucial errors. Yes. To Moeen Ali, who was bowling nicely, but there was nothing there for the Ospreys. And to think that the best 2 players in the Aussie team got out to Moeen Ali, one to a sweep shot, one to a flick to mid-wicket, that to me was the massive momentum change yesterday afternoon.
And if you just roll your Australian flag up for a moment, Glenn, it'd be wonderful for the series, wouldn't it? If England were to win this and put some real oomph into the Ashes and
your 5-0 prediction.
From an England perspective, it would be yes.
As a spectator's perspective, just for interest in the Ashes perspective.
Of course, but I think every game's been right down the wire. This Test match, every day's been riveting. So I think there's still a bit riding on it. But I like to, class myself as an adaptable predictor.
Okay.
So if somehow
Adaptable predictor.
England did get up tomorrow, then I'm happy to readjust it 4-1. So I'm still sticking at 5-0. I think there's still a bit to go, but those chances in that first innings, I think, probably 140 extra runs England got. So you think that in the context of the game, it's basically all over. So Australia's still in with a chance. But, you can't keep making mistakes against the top quality teams.
Last thought from you, Michael, about England's approach tomorrow.
Just play. I mean, they're all going to play the strokes. That's the way that they play. But you just want them to play with a bit of sense at time. If you get in, if Zach Crawley's a perfect example. I've never seen Zach Crawley look out of form. He just always looks like he's in good form. A great opportunity for him to go and get a big score and see his team home. He's done it on a couple of occasions in the past. The likes of Harry Brook at 3. I'll be interested to see how he comes out to play. I'm sure he will get out there. This England side are a good chasing side, but I think they'll get there. But I think it'll be dramatic.
It was bound to be.
I think the bounce, the trap will be set, and they'll hit a few down the bounce, the trap, and they'll play a few big drives, and I'm sure the Aussies will take the chances. I think they'll get there, but I think we're in for a few hairy moments.
Well, thanks to Michael and Glenn. Let's get some reaction then. Chris Wokes has been speaking with Eleanor Oldroyd.
Chris, very well played today. It must have been strange sitting around waiting to get going all day.
Yeah, I mean, as cricketers, you're kind of used to that happening occasionally. But yeah, it was, I suppose. Everyone just wants to get out there and play, and obviously the English weather, didn't disappoint, did it? But we always felt that if we could get out there, it would always be sort of nice bowling conditions, with obviously the weather that had been around. So we were obviously keen to get out there whenever we could and try and take those wickets, and obviously put the Aussies under some pressure. And thankfully we did that pretty well. So
were you rubbing your hands when you went out there and you looked up and you looked at the conditions and thought, we've got a great chance here?
Well, just certainly that, great opportunity. I think sometimes it's easy to put too much pressure on yourselves when that sort of opportunity arises. But I thought we did well. We put the ball in the right places. Thankfully we got some rewards. Travis Head still played well. But at the same time, I think, with the opportunity that was handed to us, I thought we did a great job.
You've taken 6 wickets in your first Test match back in 16 months. Any ones that you particularly relished?
Any of them really. Every wicket you take in an Ashes series playing for England, is special feeling. So having not been in the side for a little while, and to obviously get my chance here, it's nice to be able to obviously contribute to the team.
How crucial was it that there wasn't a wicket lost this evening in that difficult final half hour?
Yeah, it's nice to take, I suppose, a little bit of momentum into tomorrow. It's always a tricky little period for a batting team to try and get through that period. So the boys have played fantastically well there to get to the close, and obviously to put 26, 27 on the board as well. So obviously a big day tomorrow. A lot of runs still to get, but I think you'll know how we'll play it.
Feeling confident, because that is a relatively modest total to chase in recent England terms.
Yeah, I think you have to be confident, and this side is certainly confident. We'll back ourselves to go and chase that score. Obviously, anything can happen. It's Test cricket, and we're playing against Australia, who are very, very good. But we'll certainly give it a good crack, and hopefully we can pull it off.
Your thoughts on your first Test in the Bazball era so far?
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's certainly all action, isn't it? It's certainly been that way this series. I know we're 2-0 down, but it's been seriously entertaining, and I feel like certain moments in Test matches could have gone slightly different way. We could be sat here very differently. So hopefully we can get one back tomorrow.
Well played, Chris. Have a good one tomorrow.
Thank you.